أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم كتب عليكم الصيام كما كتب على الذين من قبلكم لعلكم تتقون. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us with the month coming ahead in the next couple of days or so. So we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for this opportunity. We hope that we should all be able to attend it in good spirit and health, spiritually plus physically and mentally as well. So we would have a discussion about healthy Ramadan. That's the purpose of Ramadan, to get yourself in a better shape afterwards, because there's spiritual benefit but also physical benefit. So we discuss about spiritual benefit over the last few days. But today, inshallah ta'ala, we'll be talking about healthy Ramadan. How can we have a better Ramadan this year, inshallah ta'ala, health-wise? So we have Dr. Harun Khurshid Sahab, inshallah, he's a local GP, a graduate from Cambridge, mashallah, very brilliant doctor. So we'll be able to benefit from his discussion. And that is a British Islamic Medical Association collaborative effort. And mashallah, they've been doing a good job. So let's see what we have got to hear from brother.
So this is a talk. The whole presentation has not been prepared by me. It's been prepared by the BEMA organization, but I've delivered it in the past, and it's a reminder for us to approach Ramadan in a healthy way, because Ramadan itself, Allah is forcing us to change our whole lifestyle, and the very nature of keeping a fast is in and of itself a healthy thing to do. So we will see what other things we can do to be healthy this Ramadan. So each section we will go through on eating healthy and moving healthy in particular, and we can do some questions at the end. Some people have very specific health conditions, and so this is not specific personal medical advice, but by all means you can come and speak to me at the end if you have any specific questions. And there's been lots and lots of research, as alhamdulillah the Muslim community has become very prominent in medicine in the West as well now, and so actually there's lots of data evidence that allows us to decide whether or not someone should fast even, and what provisions can be taken, whether medications need to be changed, for example, medications adjusted just to allow someone to fast in a safe way. And so I'm a local GP myself as my background, and obviously Dr. Salim is a respiratory physician, so mashallah, we've got some experience. So this is the organization BEMA. It's a very rapidly growing organization, lots of health professionals, and they've done a lot of different pieces of work, and we do some of the classes as well here. So the importance of health in Ramadan. So Ramadan is, of course, one of those most beautiful times of the year, and we make dua for it to come, and we look forward to it, and we know that it's to gain closeness to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and even though there are worldly benefits, as I said, of fasting, the main reason is because we are commanded to do so. We are also we generally also go about, we know the phrase that the health is the crown that only the sick can see. So without good health, life becomes difficult. So if we don't optimize our health, we won't be able to make the most of this blessed time. So by having a healthy outlook and a healthy mindset and a healthy approach to our Ramadan, we'll be able to maximize from the ibadat of Ramadan. Sometimes in Ramadan we crave certain foods as well, and we crave sugar and meat and fried foods, and sometimes we feel that they will fill us up for longer, but then we regret it the next day, or we might not regret it the next day, but we will probably regret it in the future. And obviously we have it as a community experience, the iftar as well, so we do like to enjoy our meals together as well, and so we often indulge in more sweeter foods and more indulgent foods We might even change our whole lifestyle patterns in that we sleep even more than usual than we would outside of Ramadan. And we might do less exercise because we feel that we have to conserve our energy. But actually, many of these things that we choose to do might not be the most healthy things to do. So, in some of our areas, there are sort of, or some areas of the UK in particular, up to 20% of the Muslim community smokes. And this is, of course, one of the leading causes of every single type of cancer, as well as strokes and heart disease. So, lots of people do use Ramadan as a good time to completely cut these addictive habits. Sugar, salt, fat, these are all very harmful in excess as well. And there are many more examples, and they can contribute to both physical and even mental health conditions as well. So, inshallah, we will use our Ramadan to try to abstain from both the spiritual sins and also the more physical bad things for our health. So unfortunately, the Muslim community is associated with higher levels of deprivation, and therefore our community is associated with worse health, regardless of our diet or regardless of our genetics, and it's contributed to by our environment and problems like obesity, smoking, and inactivity. These can all increase our risk of illness and early death. So, unfortunately, in the Muslim community, our children are more likely to have more sugar, more fat, and be more inactive as well. Some of us are 5 times more likely to have diabetes. We eat less fruit and vegetables, and this is our ummah in the UK that is suffering. So there are, of course, medications that we can take for poor health, and as a result of this, some Muslims have to stop fasting if the medications are so strong that we have to stop fasting, or the frequency such. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to stop fasting. If someone has a headache and needs to take some paracetamol, then that doesn't mean that you should not be fasting. So it's very important that we are educated and that we take opinions from Muslim medical professionals if ever we have any questions, particularly about the validity of whether or not we should be fasting. So just a reminder, as we know, fasting is something that's prescribed by Allah alone and not anyone else, and this is our primary reason for fasting. However, there are also some other benefits of fasting, which are secondary benefits, and these are things like weight loss and lower cholesterol and blood pressure and sugar and stronger immunity, mental resilience, the sort of control, self-control, and of course we save money as well if we do it right. So the importance of health in Ramadan. So of course, it's really important that we do optimize our health, and so whether it's just something that we must all consider, and it's a perfect time for us to, just like we have New Year's resolutions and things like this, Ramadan is a perfect time for us to pause and reflect. And our health is an amana that Allah has given us, and so it's important that we do reflect on how we can help our health as well as our both our physical and our spiritual health. So eating healthily. So Ramadan is not a time that we neglect what we put in our bodies. Instead, we should be more mindful of what we're putting into our bodies. Allah tells us that we should eat of the lawful and the good food which Allah has provided for you, and be grateful for the favor of Allah. So this is a very common thing that I hope many of us have come across. It's on the NHS website, and if anyone has ever said to their doctor or to their relatives or someone, "Oh, I don't know, I'm not sure what to eat," I don't know what is a healthy diet, or how can someone help me with regards to my food? This is the first thing that I would always tell my patients to go to. I would send them a text message to this NHS webpage, which has this nice diagram of what our plate should consist of. And this is very important to have these ratios, because unfortunately we often find that we have a whole plate of rice and then we have a lot of salad on top, and that's it, with not much vegetables. So this, however, tells us that fruit and veg should be half of the plate, essentially. Okay. Yeah, exactly. So, so the whole grains are going to be our, and that's essentially the carbs, and that's fine. Ideally, more brown foods, which have this what they call a lower GI index. We'll go through this, and then certainly water and milk are important, and protein is important, but not shouldn't be the bulk of our food. So just the basic physiology of the body. So 8 hours after we have last eaten, our body enters into what's known as a fasting state. So let's say you've had your dinner and then you go to sleep, and now your body is fasting. Okay. Then what's happening is that all of the nutrients are being absorbed by our gut slowly, slowly. And this is when all of the glucose, the sugar, is being used up. And now, after a while, it's when it starts to break down. It's got no more glucose, no more sugar. Now it's going to start breaking down the fat. So this is, if anyone's trying to lose weight, this is why fasting is very good for losing weight. Anytime something enters our stomach outside of food, if it's outside of water, sorry, if it's just simple water, then that's fine. But any other food that enters our stomach, it will cause us to leave that fasting state. And now our body it won't be breaking down the fat anymore. It will start looking for the sugar stores again. So this is why fasting is really good, because it gives us such a prolonged state of not staying in that fasting state, such that it's now breaking down that fat. What we don't want to do is we don't want to just overload a lot of sugar or starch, which are sort of rice and bread, which will prolong that time that will allow us to re-enter our fasting state. And so this picture is very important for allowing us to um, optimize weight loss. There's also this idea of GI. So this is the glycemic index. I'll just skip forward to this. So the glycemic index, this is the amount of the rate at which sugar is sugary foods give us a spike in our blood sugar levels. So anyone with diabetes or pre-diabetes, if you have more of these foods, things like white breads and white food, rice and sort of very sugary, sweet, fizzy drinks, this sort of thing, it will cause you to have a rapid spike in your blood sugar, and then it will also cause you to have a rapid drop in your blood sugar. Whereas for fasting, particularly for suhoor, the best thing to do is to have these lower GI things that give you a short and prolonged release of energy and sugar throughout the day. And these are wholemeal, whole grains, oats and sweet potatoes and barley, these sorts of foods. Interestingly, dates are very high in the glycemic index. So, of course, we use them to break our fast, but we should be cautious about having lots and lots of dates, particularly in Ramadan, where we love to have our dates as well, because they do cause a very rapid spike in the sugar. So the three things in particular that we will mention. So we've mentioned sugar. The other two are salt and fat. So salt, of course, I'm sure we all know, high levels of salt are associated with high blood pressure, strokes, and heart attacks, and kidney stones as well. And they recommend 6 grams or less. We don't need to worry about this number. We should just not add added salt to our food for sure, and try to avoid those foods that we know are going to be high in salt. And there are some alternatives and ways of reducing this. They say mushrooms or tomatoes can give it more of a salty taste, and they're much more healthier because tomatoes contain potassium in particular, and that's going to cancel out the salt. So all of these foods that are high in potassium, like the bananas and prunes and dates, these are things that lower your salt levels, and actually they are beneficial for someone who has high blood pressure in particular, and high potassium in their diet. And then there's all these other things like black pepper as well, and homemade foods. Fat, of course, contributes to weight gain and high cholesterol and strokes and heart attacks. And even the good fats like olives and the olive oils and avocados and nuts, they are good fats. They have less of the saturated fats that will cause the cholesterol that clogs up our arteries and causes heart attacks. They should still be used in moderation. So alternatives, I know obviously we do have our love for samosa and pakora and these sorts of fried foods, but trying to swap to grilling and baking and air frying, it will really, really make a big difference. And even I know sort of it's easier said than done, but even just reducing it and just starting to be more health conscious is very important. Replacing things with healthier oils, replacing butters with the plant sterols that will reduce your cholesterol as well. Really important. Fresh meat, not processed meat, and low fat options as well. Cooking generally with oils, it causes the problems once you've cooked it and you've heated it. If it like some, the Mediterranean style diet is very good for your health, because even like when they have their hummus, they put the oil on. That's very healthy. That's very good for you because they haven't heated up that oil. As soon as you heat it, it breaks it up and it causes all of the problems. Low meat, so we like our meat. Generally, high levels. They do say we should eat less meat, and this is the sunnah as well. Um, Health risks associated with high levels of meat consumption. So they say maximum 25 to 33% of the meal should be protein. Let's try to swap out the meats for more pulses in particular, so more dals and chane, that sort of thing. And fish is a very, very good alternative as well. Oily fish, we should really be having oily fish twice a week, 2 days a week of fish, I would say as a maximum, and trying to limit our meat to less than 2 days a week and having meat-free days. So there's some recipe ideas here, which are good snacks for suhoor and for iftar as well. So yeah, note how they say baked samosas instead of fried. It's there's lots online, and there's lot even sort of you can use ChatGPT nowadays to tell you make this dish that we've got and we love to have every single year, make it more healthy, and it will tell you what you can do and things to do to try and make things a bit healthier. Generally, one of the other things is sort of the hydration and dehydration throughout the day. Things like yogurts are very good for us. Yogurts will keep you well hydrated, and they're very high in fiber as well, which is really, really good for our gut health. And sort of whole grain things and nuts and oats really helpful at suhoor in particular. Yeah. So that's basically the general gist of eating healthy. The three things to be aware of are the salt, the sugar, and the fat, and the meat. Four things, and the meat as well. And the only other thing I would say about diet is water. Drinking lots and lots of water is very, very good. It will fill you up and it's neutral to the body, so you will just pass it out. So it will, particularly between suhoor and tarawih and iftar even, they say you should drink 2 liters of water. and that will really fill you up. You won't feel like eating anything because you've been so full from the water, and it will hydrate you in the day as well. And is associated with reducing, and this is for me as well, because no, I don't drink enough water, but it also reduces your risk of bladder cancer as well. So yeah. So moving healthy, as I said, we often associate Ramadan with sitting on the sofa all day or lying in bed a lot, and but actually many of the Salihin performed lots of great deeds, including battling. There were many battles that took place in Ramadan. Battle of Badr took place in Ramadan. And so it's really important that we do continue with physical activity in Ramadan. It can improve our mood, make us feel less tired, help with the digestion and the circulation, and increase our appetite and improve our sleep. I would say I would be a bit cautious about if you're going to the gym or doing sort of very high intensity things, then you do have to just be careful about dehydration. And they say to sort of limit your high intensity exercise to less than 45 minutes. But it's really important that we do get regular exercise. And the guidelines, they still apply even if you're fasting, which is to do 30 minutes a day of exercise to the point where you feel a bit breathless. So just going for a brisk walk up to that point where you're starting to feel breathless, that's not going to dehydrate you so badly that you have to break your fast or anything like this. It's not so vigorous, and that's all I would recommend. A simple, just getting those steps in, and spreading it throughout the week. They say 10,000 steps a day. I'm sure we don't even do 6,000 steps. So, and all of us have smartphones now. They all have an app, whether it's the Samsung S Health app or the Apple app. It tells you how many steps you're doing. Whether you know it or not, it's probably tracking it for you. So you can find it on your phone and see how many steps you've been doing for the last few days, and try and set yourself a target, at least 6,000, ideally 10,000 steps a day. Inshallah. For our elders, they say even just because you can get more muscle wastage as well. So even just sitting down on the sofa and standing up, that and then slowly sitting back down, doing that 10 times in the morning and the evening. If we've got some elderly relatives that don't really do much exercise, that will really, really keep their thigh muscles and their bottom muscles with enough strength. And if they keep doing that every single day, it's the best thing that the physiotherapists advise. Just sitting down slowly, standing up slowly, 10 times morning and evening. It's the least someone could do, particularly if you're a bit more frail. Otherwise, you can develop sarcopenia, muscle wastage, and the associated joint problems and bone problems as well. So it's things like yoga, essentially, like stretches, and we can do muscle strengthening exercises. Generally, there's three types of exercise. There's cardio, there's muscle strengthening, and there's flexibility. So the cardio is getting that brisk walk in, getting the heart beating a little bit faster. The stretching or the flexibility, these are things like yoga or and um, Pilates, yes. And then finally the muscle strengthening, just some light weights where you're sort of there's some resistance against your muscles. And there's so much on YouTube, there's so much on sort of out there for us to make use of. We don't have much excuses. I think you don't need to register for a gym. You don't need to. You don't even need to buy dumbbells. You can use some tins of beans. There's so much that we can do. And you can use your own body weight, even if you can't do a proper press up. You can do press ups just on your knees as well. There's always something that can be done. If you just Google home workout. So none of these suggestions, as I said, require you to take up a gym membership that will continuing going to be one. It's just start a small routine and gradually improve. And so some Ramadan ideas, definitely walking to and from the masjid. If you're perhaps if you drive already at the moment and you think that maybe I can actually walk it, then definitely you get more sawab as well. And Salah itself is activity, breathing exercises, some light exercises before suhoor, maybe that's tahajjud, isn't it? And then light jogging or stretches after Tarawih. Again, walking to that masjid, doing some stretches before and after. So yeah, so we've touched on routines, habits, eating, drinking, and physical activity, and now just specific health conditions. So as I mentioned, BIMA has produced extensive guidance for clinicians on how to manage chronic health issues. So this is based on evidence, and it's in conjunction with ulama as well, and so who are clinicians. So if you have any questions, then you can come to us, or you should be able to, your GP should be aware of this as well. There's been a lot of work, and so there are some resources online which I can also direct you to, but by all means, you can even contact BIMA, and they've got a service as well, where they would be able to give some advice based on this evidence. Remember, this is your choice, and the medical advice forms one part of that. Exemption from fasting on poor health is permitted. Speak to a scholar or religious authority if you are unsure. The decision of fasting is not a binary choice, i.e., yes or no to the whole of Ramadan or forever. You can try and fast for some days of Ramadan and alternate days if you've been told that you're exempted, or if you're exempt, then the fidya is a mercy for you, and it might only be for this year. You should always revisit the decision. And some people even holiday during Ramadan in cooler climates or countries where daylight hours are shorter. Specialist advice. So medications are prescribed for a reason, to treat a disease. So if you've been prescribed a medicine by a doctor, then there is a reason for it. So some people stop taking their medicines in Ramadan, and they think that this is Ramadan and Allah has told me to stop. Obviously, our medicine is there for a reason, for our health, and so we shouldn't stop medicine unless we've been advised to do so. The fast of Ramadan has much barakah in it, but it does not have medical property and is not a cure to specific disease. Taking medicines is not a sign of weak iman or denying that miracles can happen. So, and nor is neglecting our health. Neglecting our health is not a sign of believing or in barakah or dua. So we take our means, essentially. We take the medicine, but we also benefit from Ramadan, inshallah. So be mindful of certain diseases where you have to be careful with. Diabetics on insulin, you do have to be very careful. Anyone with a recent heart attack or a stroke, kidney disease, adrenal disease, epilepsy, severe mental health. So if you or any of your family members are unsure, then certainly, firstly, if you're unwell and you're fasting and you've got these conditions where you're taking insulin, then certainly you seek medical help if you're feeling unwell, and if you're unsure, as I mentioned, we are here as well. But book an appointment as well if you're really concerned, just to have a chat with your GP to decide whether or not you are in a fit state to fast, particularly if you're on multiple medications for those conditions. So this is just a summary of some tips for eating healthily and moving healthily in Ramadan. It's a bit of a summary of what we've just discussed. Tea and coffee is obviously caffeine, so it's dehydrating. So we might feel that it's going to keep us awake, but just to be cautious, it might cause us to pass a lot more urine, and we might be dehydrated in the daytime as well. So just be wary of this. You can take a photo of this if you would like to. So we can send the slides as well if need be. So we've covered all of this. If you have any questions, let us know, inshallah. Allah accept it all, and Allah keep us healthy spiritually and physically.
Any questions? Any concerns? So most of the time we eat in anticipation that I'll be hungry. Being hungry is not a problem. It's a good thing actually. Being hungry and feeling hungry, unless you have a medical condition, you might faint, and that's a different scenario. So discuss at that point. Now, if someone had a recurrent experience of having faint or being very unwell, sweaty, clammy, and they had to break their fast for that, and they know the reason. It happened really every time they tried, and they had a proper pre-dawn meal, which is suhoor, and then they still had it, then they may get this, exemption from fasting. But I had once, and I fear it, and it may happen. It happened to my friend. It happened to someone with a similar condition. That doesn't exempt you from. And like what the doctors can only advise you about, as a doctor or GP or professional, that you should not fast because of your condition. You have to verify it with the ulama as well, because um, for one, people do not know all the nuanced understanding. There's a Sharia requirement. There's also your responsibility towards your body has to be balanced out. It's good to have a Muslim doctor who would understand hopefully some religious aspect of it, ideally practicing Muslim. But better than that is to get the scholar who knows both sides. So if you don't have that, then take advice from a doctor and go to a scholar, even if he's not a doctor. Just say the medical professional tell me this is what I should be doing. What is your advice? This is my situation. So most of the time they feel very reluctant to say anything against the doctor because they are not quite clear on that. And it happened to me a lot in the last 22 years I've been in this area. Many people who were barred by their GPs, by their doctors not fast, and then they fasted since after speaking to me and carrying on for good 10 years or so. And they still kept fasting. We didn't know, we didn't fast 5, 7, however many years because someone said you have diabetes, stop fasting in the 40s and 50s. Oh, you've got asthma, stop fasting. You've got high blood pressure, cholesterol, stop fasting. That's too wrong. You can't do that. That's not allowed. Especially if the non-Muslim GP or doctor said you, definitely not. Even a Muslim and practicing will say you because they might not know the Sharia ruling of that. So you have a responsibility to get it from. They shouldn't say it. Unfortunately, many doctors say it because they want to be on the side. I advise you don't fast. They should just say that from medical point of view, you shouldn't fast. Go and verify with your own spiritual or Islamic teachers or the imams in the community. And it's not just the imam, someone who knows Sharia, like ideally a mufti or a scholar, inshallah. Then you're saved. Not Googling, not AI. Okay, so may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us tawfiq. Yes.
I'm diabetic. I take insulin in the morning and the evening. So then fasting is what I do.
When was the last time you fasted? When was the last time you fasted?
I fast every day, Monday and Thursday.
And what happened? Do you find it difficult?
No.
Shouldn't be a problem. If you have it twice a day insulin, you can do it morning time and at lunchtime. I mean the evening time, the start time. So you're still doing twice a day, isn't it?
After one doctor said to me, don't inject after iftar.
Yeah, that's different. If they're telling you to do it a different way, that's fine. What would you advise the GP?
If you're fasting and if you inject, you get too much.
No, but you're having a meal as well, though, isn't it? You're having the meal before. Yes, suhoor. We're talking about the suhoor.
I don't know.
Sahri.
Sahri? You know Sahri? What do you call it? Fatah.
I don't get that. No.
Why not? You don't take Fatah?
No,
So obviously that's why they would say don't take it. How would they say? So why don't you get for Fatah?
So on Mondays and Thursdays, when do you have your 2 insulin doses? What times do you have them?
I don't have in the morning.
You skip one.
Right?
Yeah, you should. If you wake up when you wake up before Fajr, you should have suhoor essentially, and then you can do your first dose then. Because do you know the name of the insulin? Is it Humalog or Humalin? Is it?
So if he's not taking any suhoor, anything, he doesn't need insulin in the morning. If he's just drinking water, he doesn't need insulin.
Yeah, but he should.
He takes all his full meal.
Shouldn't be fasting like that. The diabetics, they should have their pre-dawn meal, and it's sunnah as well. So why don't you eat in the morning? Don't feel like eating it, or what? Can you just explain that so we understand that he understood what we said?
Yeah, I understand.
Yes.
I understand, but just at night I sleep around 1 o'clock.
Yes.
All bad habits.
That's why the problem is on WhatsApp.
Ah, yeah, that's the thing. So change the life. We talk about that maybe privately. We have a
Yeah,
discussion
I'll
about
speak to you
that.
after.
A lot of things needs tweaking there, inshallah.
Because you,
running lots of voluntary programs in Bangladesh.
MashaAllah. It's good. It's good. But 1 o'clock they be sleeping. You're wasting their time as well. I don't know.
how long have you been doing Monday and Thursdays for? For a long time?
Long time.
Yeah, so, and as long as your diabetes is stable and well controlled, then you can carry on doing this. And as long as you check your blood sugar levels and you know, and it's staying within the range of ideally less than 11, and more between 4 and 11, your blood sugar levels throughout this time, then that's fine. You can carry on doing as you're
Body
doing.
might be adjusted to it already. And you're a doctor as well, isn't it? A retired doctor.
Oh, mashallah.
What did you do before? What was your job? You're a PhD doctor or medical doctor?
Research.
Researcher. Okay, fine. Queen Mary researcher doctor. So doctor from the.
And I live in Cambridge and work there.
Oh, wow. SubhanAllah. Nice.
They become even more dangerous. They get half knowledge here and there. Any other questions?
Obviously, if you have an asthma, people taking it.
So you should. So if you are having asthmatic, yes, you can take it, and that would break your fast, but you would just be only compensating at a later date. But ideally, is it really attack, or you just got a little breathless? Yeah. So just maybe discuss if you could, unless you're having really bad attack, just obviously by all means break it. Like with anyone feeling faint and sweaty or whatever, clammy, pain or whatever. Not that I'm feeling a little exhausted, I'm a little tired. You will feel tired, you will feel hungry. I mean, that's the whole idea of fasting, to feel hungry.
If the blood sugar goes down below 4,
Are you feeling symptomatic with that? And what's your experience?
If somebody is symptomatic below 4,
If they're symptomatic,
if it's 3,
I don't count the numbers. I want to see how you're feeling, how the person is feeling. If the person is feeling unwell, even if it's 6 and they're feeling very sweaty and clammy, they shouldn't break it. Number is only a number. So this, how are you feeling is important. And then obviously if it's very, very low, then yes, you're feeling symptomatic. Someone doesn't feel completely, they feel completely well. So there's a problem with the machine. Recheck it.
Yeah.
So slept in the morning after suhoor. So the problem is that there are 2 things. One is the smell coming out from the teeth where the food has been left overnight or during the day and gets rotten, and then it produces a lot of bacteria and other things. It just breaks down quite a few things. All the peptide bacilli and others, they just produce that rancid smell, which is bad smell coming from the gums or the tooth between the teeth. This is not the breath which would come from empty stomach. Unfortunately, we don't have an empty stomach even during the fast. Just that time, 8 hours is required to have that breakdown smell. We hopefully, well, the Ramadan is very short these days, but anyway. So yes, that smell coming from the tummy, the gases there, that is what Allah Subhanahu wa Taala like, because someone has been hungry and thirsty for my sake, and that is better than musk smell. But that's not the smell we normally get. It's the smell coming from the teeth. So you must make sure that you have done your teeth. That should be the norm. To use the floss, use the in between, cleaning it after food every time. Miswak was supposed to be catering for that, but unfortunately we don't use it properly and we don't use it often. So during the day, use miswak a lot. New miswak, proper miswak, just that would have the some of the cleaning properties. But to wash your teeth properly, do the flossing, and then you start now. So then slowly and slowly, you will not have anything in between. So the stuff got stuck in between the teeth. That is where the trouble lies. And then we can't clean it. If you don't clean it, obviously, how would you clean it? Yeah, definitely. Even if you get small particles, very small particles, and they get mixed with the saliva and go down, that's not a problem. But don't actively chew it and swallow it. As a hungry person. Yeah, exactly. 2 miswak done in the day. any other person. And so that is why most people resort to do the extra gargle with the what you call the mouthwashes and the toothpaste during the day, which is disliked because if accidentally swallowed or something, it would just be, and it doesn't last very long. By the way, it's just a psychological, more placebo effect. You feel good for that few minutes that you have that mint taste. 15 minutes, half an hour later, you were as bad as before, except that you think it's all okay. The person's sitting close to you, they would know. So keep the distance in the Ramadan, whatever, but keep the teeth clean. That should be the norm throughout the day. You must be brushing your teeth at least twice, definitely twice, morning and then evening. Listen, and the practice that I've